Loida Kathingo, unfortunately off the record. She confirmed to us yesterday about the assumption to the presidential position of the PAP by the ZANU-PF Senator and Chief Fortune Charumbira. And just to give you a sense of where exactly is Fortune Charumbira and why does it matter, what does it matter that he has now become the first Southern African to become president of the Pan-African Parliament. We take a break.
So you did the deed. You got circumcised. Yep. Hey, that was brave. Isn't it painful? It was just a little bit of pain, but it's worth it to protect myself from sexually transmitted infections, and it's so much easier to keep clean. When you put it that way, maybe I should do it too. Bruh, it's the right thing to do. Man up. Get circumcised. To book for a free circumcision or to find out more, WhatsApp 081-309-2729 or visit us on Facebook at VMMC Namibia.
Good morning, you are listening to the Early Morning Skip, and thank you so much for coming through. This is the breaking news coming from Midrand, South Africa. ZANU-PF Senator and Chief Fortune Charumbira has won the presidency for the Pan-African Parliament in South Africa's Midrand. This comes after the issue of rotational leadership created fierce fights last year, leading to the session's postponement. Members were voting yesterday evening for the 4 other vice presidential positions. This has been confirmed by National Assembly Deputy Speaker Loida Kathingo, who over the phone last evening said, "Call me in the morning, but our candidate Charumbira has won." So who exactly is Fortune Charumbira, who has led the backing of the Southern Caucasus, including Namibia, for the presidential position of the Pan-African Parliament? Fortune Charumbira is a traditional leader in Zimbabwe and the current president of the Chiefs Council. He was inaugurated as the substantive chief on the 24th of May 2000. In October 2018, Fortune Charumbira was elected unopposed as vice president of the Pan-African Parliament Bureau, representing the Southern African region. He was elected the PAP president on the 29th of June 2022, which is yesterday. He is married to Priscilla Charumbira and together they have 5 daughters. In 2013, Charumbira was retained as president of the Chiefs Council in Zimbabwe in elections conducted by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission in Harare. Chief Charumbira was declared duly elected after he got 34 nominations out of the 35 members of the Electoral College, with Chief Zwimba of Mashonaland West in Zimbabwe getting a single nomination. In May 2016, he landed a top post at the Pan-African Parliament after he was elected to chair the Continental Body's Committee on Governance, Financial and Performance Audit for 3 years. Before that, he had previously served as the chairperson of the Committee on Administrative and Financial Evaluation, an ad hoc body that had a limited mandate. In April 2018, it was reported that Charumbira was eyeing the Pan-African Parliament's presidential seat, and elections were to be held on the 10th of May 2018. In October 2017, opposition parties blasted Chief Charumbira in Zimbabwe for allegedly pledging his support for former President Robert Mugabe. According to then MDCT spokesperson Obert Gutu, he said, "As the Movement for Democratic Change, we respect the chiefs and we will accord them the respect they deserve, and our government will not, like ZANU-PF, abuse them to get political support and endorsements. It is clear that after being bought with cars in what was clear vote buying, they were left with no choice but to dabble into politics, violating the constitution of the country." Now in March 2018, Renewal Democrats of Zimbabwe leader Elton Mangoma approached the High Court seeking an order to declare utterances by Chief Charumbira promising ZANU-PF support in the elections of that year. In May 2018, the Election Resource Center in Zimbabwe took Charumbira to the High Court to answer for contravening the Constitution of the Republic of Zimbabwe when he made remarks that traditional leaders would support the ZANU-PF presidential candidate in the 2018 elections. The National Council of Chiefs and July Moyo, in his capacity as Minister of Local Government, Public Works and National Housing, were the second and third respondents respectively. The ERC, the Election Resource Center in Zimbabwe, won the case. Chief Fortune Charumbira was given a 7-day ultimatum to withdraw his statement. Now that's what we're getting as far as that is concerned. Now he has become the president of the Pan-African Parliament after so much of discord and fighting last year on the principle of rotational leadership. Ahead of his election yesterday in Midrand, South Africa, he said the following.
I'm lucky to be nominated by the Southern Caucasus to stand for the position of presidency, which I believe this afternoon it will be decided. Yes. they send a peacemaker and also, a man who's going to unify this divided house. Are you a fit and proper candidate? Exactly. You are aware that the parliament at the moment is divided. It's a family of cabinet. To solve a problem, first accept that there is a division.
Good morning once again. You continue to listen to the early morning scoop, and thank you so much for coming through. This is what we're getting as far as what came out of the Pan-African Parliament voting yesterday in connection with the position of the president.
We're excited as the region because since the inception of PAP in 2004, there was no a member of the Southern region who became the president of PAP. With Chief Charombira, he joined PAP in 2004 during its inception. He's part of the furniture of PAP. He understands each and everything. So he wanted a leader of his caliber, a unifier, a person who understands the rules, a person who understands that in this continent we need to deal with the issue of inequality, underdevelopment, the issue of peace. For instance, there are about 4 countries that are not here because they don't have democratic processes in their country. They took power through coup d'etat, and they are not part of this. Those are the things that we don't appreciate. We're supposed to work with all our peers to ensure that democracy must prevail in each and every corner of this continent. Because what we said to AUC was that we are part of the AU as an organ of the AU, and therefore what is done in the AU, it must be done throughout the structures of AU, which is a rotation principle. So that rotation principle has been clarified by Mr. Faki Musa. There is no problem now. He said there are 2 regions that are due, the South and North. North, we negotiated quite some time with North that we're going to support North as a first vice president. They must allow us time to be president, and next time it will be theirs after 3 years. And North did not field any candidate. So there's only one candidate for this PAP, no other contestation.
We are here until 7 o'clock. That's what we're getting there, 6 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. And of course, we are closing this case right here on the station. Of course, my colleagues in the afternoon bulletin will continue with the stories they speak with Loide Kathingo, who say that, no, you can speak, you can call me tomorrow in the morning. And of course, we'll also get in touch with the likes of Makendri Venani, or we'll get in touch with the likes of Hamunyera Mbiuka. We'll get in touch with the likes of Bernardo Sadboy as well. We're taking now into the world of business. Credit, which is money, extended to the private sector, increased by 4.5%. The private sector has been taking on more of this particular credit. This played in May compared to 3.8% is considered to be the fastest pace at which credit has been extended to the private sector. Now, with the probability of another 100 basis points hike in the repo rate before the end of 2022, the average mortgage and vehicle loan rates can increase from 9.5% and 10.5% to 10.5% and 11.5% respectively by the final quarter of 2022. We're talking about money movements, money flows, talking about debts and loans and the economy. So we're getting there a comprehensive report coming from Simon Instom Securities and the conversation that we had with economist Theo Klein. Let's get right into it. Good morning, you are listening to the early morning scoop, and thank you so much for coming through. Credit extended to the private sector increased by 4.5% year-on-year in May, that is compared to 3.8% year-on-year in April. This, according to Simon Instom Securities, in their latest private sector credit extension report for May 2022, is the fastest pace in credit growth since March 2020. Year-to-date, credit growth has averaged 3.2% above the forecast of Simon Instom Securities of 2.9% for 2022 and has improved above levels seen in 2021 during the same period. According to the economists at Simon Instom Securities, net household debt increased as well by 2.4% on an annualized basis in May and remains on a declining trend since the start of 2022. This, according to Simon Instom Securities, was mainly supported by a 5.2% increase in other loans and advances and a 2.4% increase in mortgages. Overdrafts went down 1.7% year-on-year, and a marginal 0.1% growth in installment and leasing credit weighed on household debt in May 2022 as well. Net corporate debt increased by 7.4% year-on-year in May, approaching its pre-pandemic long-run average of 14.0% at a faster pace than households. Simon Storm Securities said the rise in corporate credit was mainly from an increase in short-term asset-backed credit facilities and other loans and advances from businesses in the commercial and retail services sector, as well as the commercial rental property sector, according to the Bank of Namibia. Now, corporate overdrafts decreased by 5.2% in May 2022 due to repayments from businesses in the energy, mining, transport, and government services sectors. According to the prediction of Simon Storm Securities, with the probability of another 100 basis points hike in the repo rate before the end of 2022, average mortgage and vehicle loan rates can increase from 9.5% and 10.5% to 10.5% and 11.5% respectively for the final quarter of 2022. Now here is the danger. According to the experts, this would place indebted households and corporates in a worse financial position, given that mortgages constitute the largest component of total household and corporate debt. Corporates, which are companies that are battling to keep their doors open, making use of overdrafts, and they will find it more challenging to do so as rates continue to rise. The 100 basis points hike in the repo rate that is predicted by the experts means that it's going to be more difficult and more expensive to borrow from the banks as well as to service your loans. Now, house prices increased by 14.6% on average per annum between 2010 and 2015, whereas mortgage loan growth averaged 13.5% per annum during the same period. According to the experts, as property assets increased in value, net worth and spending to income levels rose, which in turn increased borrowing capacities. Post 2015, according to Simon Storm Securities, house prices have increased by 1.9% on average per annum, and the growth of mortgage loans averaged 6.3% per annum during the same period. According to the experts, should house prices continue to decline, borrowing capacities should deteriorate further, which would lead to less consumption spending. This, coupled with rising interest rates, could weigh on economic activity, as consumption spending is about 70% of the overall economy, the gross domestic product. Now, for more unbundling of this particular report, we speak with Theo Klein all the way from Simon Storm Securities. Take a listen. That's right. All right, we are joined by Theo Klein, who is an economist from Simon Storm Securities, and we just want to find out why this noted fastest pace in credit growth since March 2020. And of course, we have reported there to say that according to their report, credit extended to the private sector increased by 4.5% on an annualized basis in May, compared to 3.8% year-on-year, and that then being the fastest pace in which growth has been seen in private sector credit extension. Theo, are you able to break it down for us? Why do we see this growth here? We understand that our economy has been so much subdued, and private sector credit extension has not really been doing that well.
Yes, I think one of the reasons explaining the high numbers that we've now seen for May could be that we're also coming off from a low base. What that just means is that credit extension to the private sector were at historic lows during 2020 and 2021. Last year, it averaged about 2.6%. So it could also be that we're just coming off from a very low base, and that's why the numbers are coming in higher than expected. On the other hand, we are also forecasting 2.5% GDP growth for 2022. And if you look at most other economists locally, the GDP growth forecasts for 2022 range between about 2.4 and 3.5%. So a lot higher growth for this year expected than last year. So therefore, we can also expect to see a potential increasing trend for corporate debt. I think we are likely to see a declining trend for household debt for the rest of this year. That's mainly because households already have very stretched budgets because of high food and fuel prices, general inflation that's obviously increased prices of general merchandise goods for this year. And then also with rising interest rates, we've already seen a couple of rate hikes since the beginning of this year. And we at Simon Storm still believe that we could see another 100 basis points hike in the repo rate before the end of this year. So I think all of that will likely weigh on demand for credit from households. And what's interesting when we looked at the numbers for May, obviously, as you said, it's the highest that we've seen since early 2020. We've seen double-digit growth in mortgage growth and installment growth for corporates. And, according to Bank of Namibia, they have indicated that the rise in corporate debt is also due to increase in demand from businesses in the commercial rental property sector. So that could also potentially indicate to us that, after COVID and the lockdown where a lot of staff members worked from home, it could be that certain companies are saying that their staff members must come back to the office, and therefore we see a demand for the commercial rental property sector. I mean, that is just pure speculation. We don't have the finer details on that. And then, I think, according to Bank of Namibia, they also said that sort of your commercial and retail services sector were also some of the businesses that saw the highest increase in credit. On the one hand, we must also be aware that credit increasing is not always necessarily a good thing, as we do know that businesses in certain sectors are using overdrafts and personal loans just to keep their doors open,
right,
as a result of a decrease in sales or construction activity and so forth. So, although we are seeing an improvement in private sector credit extension, it might be that not all of it obviously will be invested into the economy to expand businesses, create more jobs, and so forth. Some of it can be used to quite simply just keep doors open and so pay expenses.
That's right. And Theo, there you say that there's a probability, as far as you say it, of another 100 basis points hike in the repo rate. In other words, you're saying that it's just going to be more and more expensive to borrow from the banks there. And at the same time, taking a look at the non-performing loans, we've also seen that we do have a headache there. The number continues to be high. Could that be because it's becoming more expensive now to service those loans?
Definitely. So, I mean, for corporates and households, we must remember that input costs for businesses have increased significantly. And, general inflation has been, prices have gone up significantly for households as well. So both your corporate and your household finances are under significant pressure. So, and with interest rates increasing on top of these additional costs, it can also be it's more challenging to service your debt given the current environment. However, we do believe the banks are very well capitalized and have made significant or sufficient provision for potential non-performing loans, so we are not too concerned about that. However, we do also know that banks seemingly have become a more risk-averse. In other words, they're also not so keen on lending out loans or giving out loans to clients, just from various conversations that we've had with people in various industries and so forth. So on the one hand, you do have maybe a decrease in demand because of rising interest rates, but you also have a decrease in supply because banks are becoming more risk-averse and just see too much risk in the economy. And, its sustainability risks have increased, given that our economy is still not really growing where it should or ought to grow.
Right. All right, that is Theo Klein there, all the way from Simone Storm Securities. They do this research work and come up with these reports to advise in terms of what are the dynamics, what are the trends as far as our economic progression is concerned. Theo, thank you so much for speaking with us. I'm looking forward to talk with you next time.
Thank you for having me, Calvin.
That's right.
My name is Calvin, and welcome to the Early Morning Scoop.
Just because the judge finds a person guilty does not mean a person is guilty. Judges have found people guilty, and they have won on appeal.
We feel bad because of he's a minister, and his reverse parking is bad.
Okay, so the city of Windhoek wants to rename Bismarck Street.
No, I don't think it's okay. It should just remain the same.
Is it the only street that is named after a colonizer, though?
We are talking about young people, why they are not interested to vote.
I really don't think the government had put us at interest, because at least they should come up with awareness why we should vote and things like that.
This is the early morning scoop on Eagle FM.
Eagle FM.
Exactly 19 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock, the time right here on the station. The spokesperson of the police, that is Kona Shukambi, has come out to say that they are carrying out a comprehensive investigation into what happened, leading to the arrest of the mayor of the city of Windhoek, Shade Governors, briefly in Katutura. And at the same time, the Landless People's Movement came out to say the police are on autopilot. We spoke with both parties. This is the matter of the arrest of the Windhoek mayor. Of course, the matter is refusing to settle. We know that the Minister of Home Affairs, Albert Kawana, is set to be asked, or has already been asked questions with regard to how the police conducted themselves around the arrest of the mayor. And this came by the way of the lawmaker from the LPM, Hemi Saibob, in the National Assembly this particular week there. But one of the councillors, Councillor Ivan Scriba, of course, we had a small conversation with him around that time as he was quite busy at the police there. But we do have him online with us right now on air, brother. Councillor, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kelvin. Thank you very much. Just a little bit of correction there. I was not on the ground of the mayor when the actual arrest was taking place, but I was one of the first leaders that arrived on the scene, because she called me immediately when she was arrested. If I may continue, Kelvin.
You can continue as councillor. So the issue here, maybe before you can continue, just to put it in context, the police came out to say that somebody raised the middle finger. The police came back to ask why this is happening. People were refusing to allow the police van to pass through, and then that then resulted in the degeneration there. You have provided a totally different picture, and you have come out to say that what is coming out is not what was on the ground. Can you maybe take us into that?
Yes, thank you very much, Kelvin. And there's been several statements made to that effect to support the statement of the witnesses that were with the mayor that day. Hence, I was on this at the police station. I arrived immediately after she was taken to Faneta police station, Kelvin, and there were witnesses, and they were saying, amongst them, the police officers were saying, we had a meeting with the station commander, and the feeling there was that it was one of the elders that were with the mayor. But his version is, when the police hooted him, he said it's like he was taken out of the road by the next person, but he was like, sorry. That's how there was no middle finger, Kelvin. If according to the version, and there were sworn statements, evidence to this effect, but I was not on the ground. My concern, Kelvin, is when I arrived at the station, you could see how the police were. And I'm very concerned. I'm speaking as a very concerned citizen of this country, because and I'm arriving to a conclusion or to a area where I want to go to, Kelvin.
Right.
When I arrived at the police station, you could see and you could feel that there was a hype from the police officers to cover one another. It was like the police versus those that came for the arrest of the mayor. There was this tension, and I think, frankly speaking, I think the police have a culture of covering for one another. They have this brotherhood within the force, which is not necessarily not wrong, but if and when it's on the expense of the ordinary citizens on the ground, it's very wrong. It's against the law. But what I'm getting at is, Kelvin, I think Sebastian Tetunga, the IG of the Namibian police force, has lost control of the force. I think he doesn't have power over the force. I think the way I see the Namibian police, and my interpretation, my opinion with regards to how the police are conducting themselves nowadays, is that the police are totally on autopilot. They are just going there by taking each day at a time. There is no clear strategy command was in the force, because you speak to the commander of the Namibian police force over the phone, and then you get the direction as to he understands what transpired was wrong. Just few hours down the line, you get the PRO of the Namibian police force issuing a statement. By the way, Kelvin, I don't know if you have seen that statement. What a shame. You read that statement, just the first two lines, and then you realize immediately there is no basis in this thing. Even a child could see that this is just a rubbish. You read that statement, and then you see fundamentally we have a problem of our police force. Our police force have got no direction, no leadership. There's no leadership.
All right.
They are on autopilot. They operate on autopilot.
Did you yourself speak with the Inspector General around the time of the arrest there? And you say that he expressed that what was done was wrong. What exactly did he say? What exactly did he tell you?
I spoke to the general, and he was the first person that I heard from that this were reservists, or that the two of them were reservists or something like that. He was the first person that told me. But to be fair to him, he said he's still getting reports. But he said his direct words were, but these were reservists, and I'm told they were reservists, and I hope that they were in the company of a substantive police officer, because the reservists can't go on operations on their own. That was the first thing he said. Secondly, he said they went too far. That's what he said. Just to be fair to him, Kelvin, he said, based on the reports that he had reported so far at the time. But the way the statement was released by the PRO, you could see that maybe you have a different interpretation of it, but from where I'm sitting and what I've experienced on the ground, and if you can see as to how the police have been conducting themselves against and on civilians, ordinary people on the street, I think there's a pattern that the police brutality towards ordinary citizens is becoming a worry. It's becoming their red lights, and we must address it. I think the police have got I think the police are operating on autopilot. The Dunga has lost control over the force.
Right. So we understand that the mayor opened a case. Is she going to follow up on that? Is she really going to take that all the way, or she's considering maybe dropping the case and maybe dealing with this matter differently?
Well, Kelvin, the last time I spoke to the mayor, she opened the case, and she expects the full investigation of this matter to be carried out, and that the law should take its course.
Right. And people are asking, is the mayor above the law? And I'm sure this question has also been put to you. What is it really that we're dealing with here? Can the mayor not be arrested, or how are you interpreting it?
Let's forget about the mayor for a moment. Any person that is to be arrested or that is detained, there should be a suspicion of a crime that you are about to commit, or that you have committed. At least in the absence of evidence, there should be a suspicion. What is the suspicion? On what basis was the mayor arrested? Why, Kelvin? I think that should be the question. Forget about the mayor. Why was she arrested? Why were the police carrying AK-47s? Why, Kelvin? I think that's where we should start.
All right. If you can hear me, Councillor, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you, Kelvin.
That's all right. And we do appreciate you. We understand that the city of Windhoek has also issued a statement, if I'm not... if I'm putting it correctly, and what do you make of that in terms of the response from the city itself?
Well, the mayor was out on the ground on official duty, so it is just befitting for the city of Windhoek to have issued the statement that they did. So that's about city of Windhoek. While because she's the mayor of the city of Windhoek, but also importantly, she was on official duty when this arrest took place. So hence, why they issued the statement.
That's right. There is a Councillor Ivan Scriva there, a councillor at the seat of Windhoek. We do appreciate your take there, Councillor. And of course, he's saying that the police are on autopilot. Let's see
There's
if
no control. Sejunga has lost control over the police.
Right. We see if we can reach out now to the spokesperson or to the IG to try to see what is happening on their side. Councillor, thank you so much. We do appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much, Calvin.
That's right. What's coming through from political parties like the IPC that the police must apologize? What's coming out from the LPM, especially what was delivered in the National Assembly by Honorable Enisebe, that there should be action to be taken against the police officers that arrested the mayor. What do you make of all this?
If it has gone to the parliament, then it's not within my domain to speak.
You had indicated that you're going to carry out a comprehensive report into what happened there. And that initial report, did it come from the statement that came from both parties?
I didn't report for both parties, but for the police.
You put a description of events there, so that particular description of events was coming from where exactly?
The police report. They indicated allegedly what happened. And that's what we shared preliminary.
When it comes to the comprehensive report, does it mean to say that it will also include the statement of the other side?
No, they have issued their statement already. It is not take note that cases are open and they are under investigation. So that will determine then what really happened, because now you know already that they are contradicting reports.
Yes.
The police itself does this, and that's what we shared. City of Windhoek, I saw they also issued something else. The spokesperson also said something else. So all that now is under investigation, and I'm sure what the outcome of the investigation will then reveal really what happened.
Rimanene mundo ino mungeshefae akuno lo internet talimbudi palele nolishi okulinekerwa lo parates paife otenje akuno lo pamakwata fando wangingoro kongashi ondangwa ongwediva no shakati nekukupa onwa we data osho akuno lo network la shiako tereda po parates.africa/NA de tolitalele koma akuro de tolitalele komudi oma akuro avo havayanje ile usaina penabo pa online.
Eagle FM lets you express your constitutional rights of freedom of expression without fear of favor.
This is actually, to put it mildly, an economic scandal. Fraud. Not no fraud, it's a scandal. Why do you give a tender to somebody who does not have capacity to build? Why should you do that? You know this one doesn't have the capacity to build.
Eagle FM lets you talk.
That's why I'm always telling people in Parliament, let me not take up my Katatura menace.
Right.
Because I grew up in Katatura. And I will not hesitate to tell you off if it is needed to be
part of the debate by setting the agenda.
My response in terms of Rwanda at 6% is that we have been there before. We've had 6% growth before. It's not something that Namibia has not achieved in the past, and it's not something Namibia will not be able to achieve in the future.
Exactly 6:32 a.m. the time right here on the station. Desmond Amyela's Paragon Investment Holdings has won the tender to do ground handling services at the Osiagotako International Airport in partnership with Ethiopian Airlines. They've taken over the business from a foreign-owned company, Menzies Aviation, which has been doing ground handling services since 2014, but now must vacate the premises with effect from today, Thursday, or be forcibly removed. Amyela has reacted to what's coming from the court there. We got in touch with him. Good morning. You are listening to the early morning scoop, and thank you so much for coming through. We take a look at the latest in connection with the Osiagotako International Airport as well as the Namibia Airports Company. Paragon Investment Holdings has now clinched a deal in which it will be handling airport ground handling services at Namibia's prime destination entry point, the Osiagotako International Airport, in partnership with Ethiopian Airways. Ground handling services have been since 2014 carried out by the UK-based company Menzies Aviation, whose contract is coming to an end this particular Thursday, the 30th of June 2022, by the declaration of the Windhoek High Court. Menzies says on its website that it started operating in Edinburgh way back in 1833. However, Paragon's arrival at the Osiakutako International Airport has divided public opinion, with a section of the Windhoek business community expressing that they do not have aviation experience. So how did they get the tender? However, another section of the constituency has expressed relief with the fact that the tender has now been passed on to a local company run by locals and partnering with an African top-of-the-range brand, Ethiopian Airlines. The Namibia Airports Company gave Paragon the tender last year in a process which Menzies Aviation came out complaining, alleging that the tender process itself was irregular and unlawful. The company then brought an application before the High Court for the tender to be set aside, which application is now dead in the water. High Court Judge Odin Sibeya yesterday ruled that the company must vacate the airport premises, failure of which may see the Deputy Sheriff marching them out. The company is now supposed to pack its bags by the end of business today. We got in touch with Paragon co-founder Dave Modamunyela so he can respond to the following questions. Number 1, how did he get the tender when the company is not into aviation? Number 2, what does it mean that a Namibian company is now taking care of ground handling services at the Osiakutako International Airport? Number 3, why did Paragon opt for a joint venture with Ethiopian Airlines? And finally, how will this joint venture seek to deliver quality services for Namibia's international guests, as well as Namibians arriving at the airport and those leaving the country? Take a listen.
Your question is it's a negative question. How are you going to deliver?
How are you going to make it better than what we were having before? We're talking about reception, yes, for our guests.
Okay. No, I think if you are familiar with Paragon it's a company that has proven itself to always elevate standards wherever it finds itself.
Right.
Standards, high standards, and that sort of thing is not something new to us. That's what we are known for. And that should be no surprise to anyone. That's why we are able to win tenders, competing against international companies that are said to be, in brackets, leaders of standards.
Right.
And we have proven this in multiple countries, not only in Namibia. We are operating in other countries like Zimbabwe, Zambia, through these processes of winning tenders against international companies. So standard is synonymous to us. And the name Paragon suggests it all. If you go to the dictionary and you check up on the name, it suggests it all. And that's what drives us.
That's right. And you have entered into a strategic partnership with one of the most successful brands on the African continent. We're talking about Ethiopian Airlines. And I want to find out this combination of Paragon and Ethiopian Airlines. What does it say? What does it speak?
Well, you are a journalist and I'm not. The new journalists have got a way of asking questions. I don't actually know what you mean, but I'm going to do my best. When you say what does it mean, in business, you look for what is closest to you in terms of ethos and what meets the business mind. So Ethiopian Airways wasn't forced onto us. We weren't forced onto them. We considered a whole lot of other companies, and we found them to be most suitable and most compatible with what we stand for in business. Yes, you are right. They are the leaders in terms of aviation in Africa. 76 years in the aviation, and for us it's a pleasure to have them as our technical partner.
Right.
And over and above that, we consider them as an African airline because you can remember not so long ago when COVID was the order of the day, they were the only airline here in Africa assisting Africa in such a big way. From a humanitarian point of view, you must have heard the headlines when they were delivering necessary and essential material and medicine and what have you to the entire Africa.
Right.
So for us it can only be a pleasure to have an opportunity to be with them and then get to learn from them whatever there is that we need, and I'm sure they will also learn from us.
That's right. And Menzies Aviation has been in this business since 2014 at the Osiakutako International Airport. What's the contract duration on your side?
It's a standard thing. Everybody gets the same. I think it's 5 plus. It's a shorter time for extension depending on your performance. But specifically the company that you mentioned, I think they are there for 8 years.
Right.
So, but the standard is 5 years plus, not more than 3 years in terms of what you negotiate as an extra time, but depending on performance levels.
That's right. And for the sake of our listeners, Dr. Amnyela, Menzies Aviation, were they, or are they a Namibian company? And the fact that we do have a Namibian company at the Hosea Kutako International Airport, what does that mean for Namibia?
Okay, I cannot speak for Menzies Aviation, nor did I go to PIPA to find out whether they are Namibian or not. But with their origin, they are a company founded many, many years ago by a gentleman called John Menzies. I think it's from the UK.
Right.
Then last I checked, they operate in other countries, 200 other countries and so on. So, but you are best placed if you can call them and ask them about them. As for what it means for Namibia, I think this is a day to celebrate. The Atoivos and the Amambos and the Nuyomas must be smiling broadly because this is exactly a simplification of what it means when we say the economic struggle is now. It's pointless for us to continue believing in others if we fail to self-determine in every regard. Paragon is one of those companies that is committed to bringing about the fundamental change so that Namibia belongs to Namibians and Namibians are responsible for all and sundry.
That's right.
We are 32 years old. We cannot be having excuses on why we are not capable of handling aircraft, landing and departing. It's laughable for a country 32 years old that you still have to depend on other people for these services. For your interest, if you look at all these foreign countries that has operated here, in most cases their staff complement will be around 95%, if not more, Namibian, and they will have one person from outside doing the coordination, or in most cases leading, and then they take all the money out. Now that money lost to Namibia never comes back. And this is why, if you link it back to our economic ills, is this thing of perpetual money flowing out of Namibia, and we don't have the consumer capacity to produce local capital to keep up with the capital flight.
Right.
It's simple economic sense that you cannot just be allowing money out all the time, and you have to have the consumer capacity to produce for the benefit of others. You need to, at some point, find a point where you say you must keep most of your capital here, so that you, my brother Kevin, if you want to buy a house, for example,
right,
then you have more money here competing for somebody to consume, and your interest rate will be lower. So your cost of borrowing will be lower. And it starts with opportunities like that. When you give more Namibians such opportunities, more money will be here, and our economic situation will improve.
That's right.
If ever I lose this opportunity, I don't want to lose it to any other person other than a better Namibian company.
That's right. And Tata Mnyela, as we just close up there, let me just take you to how Namibians have reacted to this development. Haman Gelipa on Facebook said, but at least Paragon is a Namibian company. That is good. And there is Tukongeni Naba who said, I am happy it's awarded to a Namibian company. Good judgment. And then we do have Luis Carlos Garland who said, welcome to the land of the brave. No experience in aviation handlings. Boom, you are a successful bidder. What do you make of this split manner in which Namibians have responded to this tender coming your way?
I think the two positive ones, and I promise them I will, it shall be a success for Namibia. For the last, I think that's a responsibility placed on me to convert him, because obviously we need to do a whole of work for that kind of thinking, because it's specifically that kind of doubt that keeps us where we are. But I will forgive such an opinion. Why? Apartheid in its nature was designed to remain in perpetuity. It's designed, amongst others, to make you doubt yourself. You can reach out to that brother, ask him to pay us a visit at Paragon. Maybe with action, he will be able to be converted. I'm not a man of words. I do more than I talk. But I would like him to reach out to Paragon so he can observe what is it that Paragon does. Maybe, hopefully, we will meet his standards.
That's right. Desmond Abnyela, that's the co-founder of Paragon Investment Holdings. Now he's responsible for airport ground handling at the Osiakutako International Airport, taking over from Menzies. Abnyela, thank you so much really for taking this time to speak with us.
Thank you very much.
That's right, sir. All right, 6:44 a.m. the time right here on the station. I'd like to open the lines today so that we can have a conversation on quite a number of issues that we're taking a look at right here on the program. Good morning. How are you?
Kevin, good morning, my young brothers. How are you?
Doing very well, Elder, and thank you so much for coming to the program.
It has been a long time. We don't want to interrupt with us. Thank you very much once more. I think we miss you, my brother. Thank you very much for the good job. And I think let me congratulate Amira there for that visionary kind of, I don't know what to describe it. Because in Winter Gudea, I was wondering, everything is being wired and things like that. Are they the same people? So, and I love the way they created that strategic alliance. And we need to realize ourselves, our potential.
Right.
And we build the capacity, and we turn around. Let's create that kind of a hope that, yes, investment, the climate here is conducive. Local companies, where you think that you do not have the capacity or technical capacity, that one can be forged when you create this strategic alliance. Thank you very much for that good leadership and management style. And I think more companies, local companies, those on different sectors, be able to align and make sure that they take up the challenge. Thank you very much, Kevin. God bless.
Thank you so much. We do appreciate it. Good. All right, 7:15, and that's Desmond Abnyela that we were in conversation with there, Paragon, having gotten that tender. People were saying, but you don't have aviation experience, and Abnyela saying that is what it is when you are self-doubtful, and we should be making economic independence a reality, and that's what I'm getting there from his side. Good morning, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well, sir. Thank you for coming through.
Yeah, the story of this, the arrest of Mayor.
Right.
I think you just have to take shortcut. The thing is that the fact that the police officers reversed to question the middle finger, that is already a mistake. Everything after that, it must not be considered. That reverse is the problem. So, because actually, the mission in the police or any security officer is that we must try to manage a relationship with the people they interact with. Now, to question the middle finger is not part of managing a relationship between police and civilians.
Are you saying that they should have just proceeded?
Yes, because they are the people who are specialized and who have information that there is a friction between police and public.
Right.
And they know that public is frustrated by many actions, the killings and brutalities made by police. Now, to avoid further friction, don't come back to reverse to question the frustration of the public.
All right.
So now the mission of managing relationship, because if you are patrolling, you are also managing relationship to build the broken things that have happened in the past. Now, if you come back to reverse to question the frustration, then you are not managing relationship. The reverse is a problem. Nothing further must be considered. That's already so they must come and apologize.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution. We do appreciate you.
All right.
That's right. All right, 12 minutes to go to 7 o'clock. The lines are open. Come through. Let's have a conversation with you. We want to break bread. It's a beautiful morning today. It is the 30th of June, the end of the month, and 2022. And of course, we are in the middle of the year now. Come through. Let's hear from you. Good morning. How are you?
Yes, Kevin.
You are live on radio. Say thank you so much for coming through.
No, it's fine. Paragon and Namibia Airport Company.
Right.
You know, the mistake people think is to say experience is born with a person, with a company.
Right.
It's wrong. You have to start everywhere. Even a child, it has to cross first before it walk.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't see anything there. Because this is what is taking us back. Because you say, no, you don't have experience, you want what? My friend, what is needed is a standard and the work that needs to be done.
Right.
And we have to measure that. Not necessarily to say the person does not have experience.
Right.
No, nobody was born with experience. We cannot always take ourselves back to say, no, the person does not have experience is not born with a person.
Right.
On the issue of mayor, I don't know why these things is taking too long and people what. And I see, what we see also is to say, why sometimes people have to investigate themselves. Ne?
Right.
Because when you give an opportunity a person to investigate himself, it's like every person is entitled to his own self-protection. This is the time when you need maybe ombudsman to come in to investigate both parties.
Oh, you're saying that the police cannot investigate themselves?
Why they have to investigate themselves? But this is where we need to see. Because when you see, that's what I'm saying, every person from nature point of view is entitled to self-protection. But when you want there should be independent investigation.
Right.
And when people are saying now as an official duty, it's fine. It must be tested. What does it mean when you are saying you are in official? There must be a proper request, and when you are going out also, the car have to be signed out, and there are a lot of things for you to really to determine whether the mayor was on duty or not.
All right.
Can you just to say you are on official duty when there is no proof of documentation to say that okay, there is this request from the community, from there, this is how the arrangement was made inside so that the mayor can go while the mayor was alone and all those things, even with police. That's why the other time, Kevin, I was saying, look, there is always a need to find the truth from the fact.
Right.
And the truth is the law. You take the fact is what you see. The law is the truth, but to test that, you must take the conduct of the people, whoever was involved, against the laws. You take the conduct of the police against their guiding principle. You take the mayor conduct against the guiding principles that are there, and that is the truth. So, therefore, here, other party can make a statement, but in my view, I see there is a need for independent institution to come and investigate that.
All right.
And also they are aware of what they are going to investigate. And when you see, that's why sometimes you also have a person to come in to investigate, but he doesn't understand also what to investigate.
All right.
That is that the person needs to look at in this situation like this. Therefore, other party can give a statement, but I know there is a need for independence because you cannot let the police to investigate themselves or City of Windhoek to investigate themselves because that element of self-protection, where are you going to take it?
All right.
Because anybody doesn't want to be seen like his institution to be seen that they are not doing their job or they are covering themselves up.
All right.
Only the independent investigator can come out clean with that whole process there.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution. We do appreciate you.
Okay.
All right, 8 minutes to go to 7 o'clock. Of course, today we're in the aftermath of the celebration of Eagle FM's third year anniversary. And of course, we do appreciate you. And I would like to also give you an opportunity because you are the reason why we are also here. Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Doing very well, sir. And let's hear from you.
Okay. On Amniela.
Right.
Firstly, let me just congratulate him. So, for me, he is a Namibian, and he got the tender. So let's give him a chance,
right,
to prove himself. if he can do the standard work which is required or not. Let's give him chance. Because it does not make sense. We are fighting the person already, and the person did not start any single work. So let's see what is he going to offer. Because he is starting the work. So it does not make sense. We give the so-called experienced people or the people that we know, and most of these people, they are from outside. It does not make sense.
Right.
Let's give him chance, unless if we have to complain, unless if we get the tender not in a correct manner. That one we can complain. But for him to get the tender in a correct manner, whether you have experience or not, let's give him chance. He's a Namibian.
There are people that are saying, what happens to the employees that were employed by Menzies Aviation? Some people are asking if he is going to take them in, and it's a question also that I forgot to pass through to him. What do you make of that?
Yes, that one, he need to consider on that one. I'm sure, as for now, he do not have a full employee because he was not having more tenders than this one. This one was added, it's a new project. So I'm sure he will consider to take some of those employers who are working there already.
Right.
I'm sure. So for you as a journalist, I think you need to get back to him to ask that question. It's very much important.
That's right. Thank you so much, sir. We do appreciate you there.
All right, bye.
All right, 5 minutes to go to 7 o'clock. The time right here on the station. You are listening to the early morning skip. My name is Kevin. I've been with you all the way from 5 o'clock. It's your chance. Let's hear from you. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Doing very well, sir. Let's hear from you now.
I want to congratulate Mr. Amniela. You know, what happened is we are always like to complain. Anything we complain. If somebody says a financial capability, then what is doing the job? Those companies, the engineer is a own engineer. They see the ground. It's not about to point on him that he has experience. As long as the company is capable to do the job.
Right.
Sometimes we are very happy. He is a Namibian. I also supporting the guy who was saying, as long as he gets the company in a good manner, it's fine. We are tired of these things of 5 years experience thing. Where if somebody opening a company today, where is those experience coming from?
Right.
No, we must be matured sometime and supporting him. We must supporting him. It's our Namibian company. He paid the Namibian people. He's using money here. They always wanted those tender to go to the Chinese. But we are not happy. We are giving congratulations to Mr. Amniela. And we wish him everything.
That's right, sir. Thank you so much. We do appreciate you for coming through, sir.
Thank you, Kevin.
That's right. All right, that's what we're getting there. And of course, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you also for making Eagle FM what it is. Here, we are a libertarian media house, which means we believe in the truest essence of the freedom of expression, the freedom to be, the freedom of conscience as well. And for the past 3 years, we have manifested ourselves just like that. And we do appreciate you for making that freedom a reality by expressing yourselves without fear or favor. And of course, we continue here until 7 o'clock. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin.
Doing very well, sir. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much. Let me first of all congratulate Abra for winning that tender.
Right.
It is an achievement. It's a Namibian company. Though they are partnering with the world-renowned airline.
Right.
To put up the hopefully the superb service that we anticipate. I just want to make a small comment here to say, you see, most people who are against it are the people who lack self-confidence in themselves, who are not motivated. You know, experience does not really count in this because there's nobody who was born with experience.
Right.
We have seen like even not though a company but individual like appointed to a certain position, for example. Let me say now you are just known and then appointed as a minister of this ministry.
Right.
You don't even have an experience. But you expected to execute the job because you are a team. That's why most people who normally lack confidence, they don't even tender.
Right.
When they say they tender somewhere, no, I don't qualify. I don't do what.
Right.
You know, they lack the self-confidence. Namibians, they have to get out. They have to try new things. They have to try everything possible. Because by so doing, when you get a tender of that nature, or whatever tender, that one, it will uplift your experience. It's going to give you more credentials. And even in the future, they know that you have done something.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
I just want to congratulate him for to get a tender. It's an achievement for Namibia as well.
That's right, sir. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
That's right. Okay, a few seconds to go. Wanda is now here, of course, to take us into the unpacking of the day. You've been listening to the early morning scoop, and we do appreciate you really for coming through. And I'm just about to then say goodbye to you, but of course, Wanda has to take this spaceship yet to another dimension. We take a break, and then we do just that.
This is Wanda, and you are listening to Unpacking the Day. We do this weekdays, Mondays to Fridays from 8 to 10. Join me on Ealy FM, the Eye.
Right, 7 o'clock right on the dot. And of course, as I said, Wanda is now here in the studio to take us into the unpacking of the day. And these are the issues that we had for you today. Just to say that in Midrand, the capital city of the Pan-African Parliament, a southerner has now risen to the helm as the president of the Pan-African Parliament after so much of discord and wrangling and, of course, a lot of heckling and violence within the Pan-African Parliament itself, much to the embarrassment of the African Union leadership that postponed the event to this particular year, and this time around, quite a very peaceful transition of power coming from a Cameroonian that was the president there, the incumbent, and now we do have Fortune Charumbira, our team on the ground, representing Namibia, Loite Kathingo, Benadu Swadboy, Makendri Venani,